all, double 1/8 Seth Shadow here. So, today is going to be something different. We're still going to be doing a market watch, but today's market watch is going to be a comparison of international formats because there's quite an interesting set of different trends between the English format and the Japanese format that I wanted to go over. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, the format is going to be a few different comparisons between TCG Player as well as some sources for cards that are available in the Japanese market. The vast majority are going to be covered through a site called Yuyute, which is a site with a lot of different card games, including some outdated and currently non supported ones. So, we're going to be going over cards from here, and there will be some other sources here and there for some other comparisons. Starting off with some stuff from Freedom Ascension, just to get an idea of where prices are looking, let's start with the new Gundam. This is just going to be the legendary rare, which, when you take a look here, the new Gundam as a single right now has a lot of stock on UUT, which can be indicated over here based off this circle. That basically means that there is a fair amount and we're not in the single digits at least. But you can also see that the new Gundam is currently selling for a total of 4,980 yen, which, if you were to convert that to being in America, I'm doing conversions to dollars. So I can't do it directly because the yen and the dollar fluctuation has been wild recently, and even then it's not like a straight comparison. But you can effectively say, take the number that you see here, put it 2 decimal places over, and then you can cut the value by about a quarter more. So at about 4,900 yen, which is about 5,000 yen, you're looking at maybe 35-ish dollars to pick this up in Japan. In comparison, when you take a look at the new Gundam on TCG Player right now, there's a vast difference there. There are a lot of listings for this one as well, and you see the actual number in terms of listings, and the baseline is 650, while the market price is still sitting around $6 as well. And if we take a look, it's mostly been getting bought at around 6 to 7. And when we take a look at how many are available, listings are consolidated around $7 right now. So you might be asking, why is Japan's that much more expensive? I can give you a very solid reason for it. There's other speculation about it, but here's the main reason. The box ratios to pick a product in Japan versus in the English format are different. In the English format, you get boxes of 24 packs. You're guaranteed to get at least 8 legendary rares and 2 alts minimum. There's no exception to that rule, at least not that I've ever seen. But in Japan, it's half that. Your boxes are only 12 packs, you can only get 4 legendary rares out of them, and you're only guaranteed one alt at minimum. So because of that, if you buy a box in Japan, it's going to be harder to pull the LRs that you want in comparison to English format, where you have a much higher chance of pulling the LRs you want. So there's still a solid ratio of 12 LRs per set. I don't think that's changed at all. But when you basically have to buy 3 boxes at bare minimum to hope that you get 1 copy of each LR, that makes it harder in Japan and much easier in the English format, because you only need like a box and a half in terms of the English format. But it's also the case that box prices in Japan are cheaper. But even with that being said, I think they range from about 5,000 to 8,000 yen. So that again becomes around $35, $38 a box minimum to around 50 some dollars a box. And English boxes over here cost 120 MSRP. So it's actually still technically cheaper to get them in Japan, as long as that ratio holds. But that's effectively one of the main reasons. The same can be said with cards like the Strike Freedom Gundam, which is also really popular in general, being from Gundam Seed. And that's another trend that I'm going to talk about for the Japanese market. But currently, the Strike Freedom is also at the same price as the new Gundam on UUT, sitting around 5,000 yen, so that puts it around $35 to $38 over on the Japanese side. Even if we go back to sets like New Type Rising, there is still some value in a lot of the legendaries over there, despite the fact that, unlike with the English format, the Japanese format, I think, is still printing New Type Rising anyway, so the prices should overall be cheaper regardless. Wing Zero right now is actually on sale on UUT. They've cut the price from about 1,700, 1,800 yen to about 1,500 yen. So if you shift that and cut that, you're looking at about $10, I think, to pick this one up. There's another site called Amenity Dream, which also has singles that you can pick up. And as a comparison point to UUT, this is a Japanese site as well. It's at the same normal price as UUT right now, which is about 1,800 yen as well. So there are multiple Japanese sites that you can take a look at, and I should say that these are actual vendors. If you're looking for the secondary market in terms of the player base or individual like sellers, you'll have to look at places like Yahoo Auctions or Mercari, where the prices may state the same kind of prices as you see on the vendor side, but in terms of what actually sells for individual players, they're usually a whole lot cheaper. And I can go over some examples of what they are, but I don't have examples right in front of me of them on those actual sites. Another example, though, is the Gundam Barbato's first form from Dual Impact, which has seen a spike in the English format right now. The last I remember, it was around $35 to $40. And in Japan, it's also 5,000 yen to pick it up right now. And at this point, it's also out of stock. You can't pick it for cart, and you can see this X here. This X indicates there's no stock of it at all. So it's around the same price right now as the English format, but with the English format seeing an overall increase in the card as it did, it's probably going to overtake it at some point. But since this is sold out, this could even rise higher, but we'll see what happens. LR++ wise, let's take a look at the Gundam from New Type Rising. This one also has no stock on UUT right now and is 138,000 yen, meaning that you convert that and it's probably around 900 in dollars. That's what I think that would be the case. You know what? Let me just do a quick thing here to check. Okay, there we go. So, calculating it more directly, it's around $878, $879 to pick it up in dollars right now. And then if we move on to the LR++ of the new Gundam, which is from Freedom Ascension, that's currently at 198,000 yen, which I guess if I do the conversion from here, that is going to around to about $1,261. So the new Gundam is currently selling at a higher price than the Gundam from New Type Rising is, but this one is also out of stock right now. And again, with Freedom Ascension having 5 different LR pluses versus all other sets only having 2, it's much harder to get the LR pluses in this set, irregardless of which format it is, whether it's Japanese, English, or Chinese. Here is a very interesting one, though, and this is what I was alluding to when I said that if you are a Gundam Seed fan, like I am, you don't have a lot of recourse or salvation in looking to the Japanese market for items, because the Japanese really love their Gundam Seed cards, especially if they feature Lacis on it. The Unforeseen Incident participation promo from the first series of participation packs on UUT right now only has a single copy of the Lacis Unforeseen Incident here for 2,480 yen, so about 2,500 yen. So if you cut that, that would settle to about $17, I think. And again, this is not the winner promo. This is the participation promo. In comparison, when you take a look at it on TCG Player, you can pick this card up for $3, and there are still 53 listings over here. Market price is currently sitting around $350, and if you take a look, it's still getting pretty well bought at $3 and almost gets up to $350. But aside from that, it's still very easy to pick up. There is consolidation in a few vendors where you just pick it up for around $3. So that's an example right there. And if we compare the winner promo, so the last time I covered the winner promo, it was just over $100, more like 110 to 20. It's 59,800 yen on UUT, and there's no stock right now. So, if you want to convert this one, what is that going to turn out as? That would be $381 for the Japanese copy of this card. And I can tell you, I went to Japan last year, and I found a few of these in stock in some different stores, and they were still about 30,000 plus yen when it started out. And our high price for a while was about $60 until it just recently got bought out on the English market. The Japanese really love their Lacis cards and resources because they always tend to be a whole lot higher than whatever is available to us over on the state side in America, at least. I can't say the same for the rest of the English format if it's in Europe or anywhere else, but at least over here and on TCG Player, we don't have this kind of pricing for stuff like this. The only exception really would be the Lacis resource, EX resource that you get from the first deck box, simply because we did not get nearly as many of those. I was able to find them in Japan for less than 2,000 yen a piece, and the only one I was able to pick up here, outside of picking up deck boxes, still cost me about $40 in value. And now let's take a look at the SP Lacis resource from Freedom Ascension. Over here, it's around the same 198,000 yen as the new Gundam, meaning this is about $1,200, almost $1,300 to pick up from Japan, and this one is also out of stock here. In comparison on TCG Player, this resource is currently around $900 with 17 listings on the market, and the market price is currently sitting around $757. They've been getting bought whenever it goes under 900, it seems to just get snatched up, and then it just gets back into the 900s. They have sold as high as 1,200, but only a few of them so far. Now, I imagine that there will be additional prints of this set in all formats, so the price could get updated from there as more get into circulation. But if you really want them now, then getting the English copy is cheaper than getting the Japanese copy. Even if you look back to stuff from Destiny Ignition, which is Seed Destiny as opposed to Seed, you have the EX resource that features the Hawk Sisters, Luna Maria and Mayrin. And on UUT, there's no stock for this at all, and it's currently 8,000 yen. Whereas in comparison to us, I think it's still less than $40. I'll have to double check. But even at tops, this rarely ever went above $50 for our side. Then if you take a look at some of the resources that came out, some of the assembly sets, like the Kudelia Barna Ernstein resource, it's currently around 14,000, 15,000 yen here. Whereas it topped off for us, I think, at around 160. And I don't remember what the current price is on TCG Player, but it sometimes jumps from the 60s to hundreds and then it just keeps moving around. And of course, some of the other ones have been shifting, like the laughter one too. Some of the common plus plus resources. The new Type Rising Gundam one is currently out of stock on UUT and is about 3,500 yen listed here. You've also got the G-Quux one from Dual Impact, which still has 2 copies available at around 1,300 yen a piece. So in comparison to the English format, these Common Plus Plus resources are much more affordable. As the last time I covered the Gundam one, it was bought out to the point of around 100, but I think it was at least selling in the 60s to 70s, which is still much higher. And even the G-Quux one from Dual Impact has usually stayed around $20. So not that much more expensive, but still more expensive than picking it up Japanese. Now let's talk about one of the highlights of the English format, which is Wing Gundam Zero's LR Plus. As I mentioned, at least for America, Gundam Wing is nostalgia for the Gundam fan base in America, as it is effectively the first real exposure we got to Gundam. Through Toonami or Adult Swim, it is our effectively main exposure. And so the LR Plus, when I last covered it, was upwards of $350 to $400, though it has dropped off now on TCG Player, and it's still around 300 though. But in Japan, you can pick it up for around 1,300 yen, and there are 3 copies on UUT right now. Significantly cheaper in comparison because of that. But the last time I remember seeing Wing Zero when I was in Japan, the LR Plus was available for around 5,400 yen. So that was actually closer to about $30. I regret not picking that up. I ended up picking up Epion instead. I should have just picked this up while I was there, but it's whatever. In any case, though, it does make you... So for those of you who are collectors in this game, I feel like I'm more of a collector than a player. But in any case, it makes you wonder whether it's better just to go for the Japanese copies for collector purposes, simply because of the fact that they are usually cheaper and they tend to be better quality. But as I said before, if you're a Gundam Seed fan like myself, the Japanese market is not for you, because usually that market is more expensive than the English market. So you feel a whole lot more trapped as a result with high prices. There are some exceptions though, like with the Justice Gundam alt in New Type Rising. It is out of stock right now on UUT, but its list price is currently around 4,000 yen, which the last time I covered the Justice, I think it was upwards of 100, though I checked it earlier and it looks like a few listings have calmed down, so it's now around 60 to 70. Now let's talk about one of the biggest betas of the entire game, which is the Wing Gundam LR Plus. On UUT, there are no listings, and it is available, it is listed at 598,000 yen. Converted, that is... what? $3,809 rounded. Now, I'm going based on the idea that you can get about 157 yen per dollar, but as I said, the yen is very volatile against the dollar, especially due to a lot of interventions that have been happening recently. It got as high as about 160, but the yen ended up getting stronger recently, so it got more expensive to pick up. But in comparison to almost 20 years ago, it's still much cheaper to buy yen than it was 20 years ago. And of course, the actual LR Plus English version is listed currently for 33,000. Okay, it's just straight threes here. And its market price is currently around 7,750. And if we take a look at what it's been selling for, someone did buy a copy back in June for almost 10,000, and someone bought a Japanese copy for about 2,200. So, with that buy of a $2,200 copy, that's cheaper than what UUT listed, but now it's up by about 1,600, I think. What did I say the amount was? 38? Yeah. So it's up by about 1,600 in comparison to when it got bought in June. And then, of course, as we continue on the seed trend, there's overflowing affection from New Type Rising, which also doesn't have any stock on UUT and is currently around 29,800 yen. Whereas our overflowing affection in the English format, that had jumped up but has also calmed down like Wing Zero, but it's still sitting between 200 and 300 overall. And this is one I did pick up when I was in Japan, and when I did, it was around 8,000 some yen. So around the same price I ended up getting my other copies for. But that's all for my, like I said, I'm more of a collector of this game. So it was overall cheaper to get this while I was in Japan, and then I ended up picking up English copies anyway, just because I wanted more. And the beta set itself, there are secondhand stores that do have this in Japan. As an example, there's surugaya.com, and they do have one available for, as a reference, about $975 right now. That is 154,000 yen. And the original list price is also shown here just for reference at 7,700 yen. But the betas are still circulating in Japan with sealed boxes that are available. You just have to know where to look and see if you can find some deals. But overall, since the beta is completely out of stock, never getting printed again, it doesn't matter which region it is, it's the beta. It's not getting printed again. So if the game continues to prop up further and further, it's only going to get higher and higher. And I can talk to you from my experience of going to a physical Surugaya, where I saw the beta box available. I think I saw two, and one of them I think was either damaged or already had the seal ripped at least. But the difference in price compared to this was over $700. So it's been almost a full year, and the Japanese beta boxes are really racking up in value with that. That's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to see more of this kind of comparison, please let me know in the comments. I will do this from time to time, but if you'd like to see it more, I'll try to accommodate it a bit. But if you did like the video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later.